Welcome back to your DM's favorite podcast, Loaded Dice. As always, I am your host, Diesel. Along with me is KJ.
Hi, I'm KJ.
Wow, that.
What?
Sorry.
What do you want?
Came out a little
Do you want me to? Okay, I run a channel called Adventures in Omdelier. It's cool. It's in development hell. I'm working on it.
No! And then with us is Hal.
Hi. Yes. Hi. I'm Hal.
Yes,
DM
and
of the DMs.
we are all forever DMs and designers, and we're going to be answering your hard-hitting questions about Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPGs and things you might not have even thought about that
This
you're like,
intro
oh,
is
that's
way
very
too
interesting.
long.
Oh my god. Okay, you want me to take it from the top?
No,
Yeah, take it from the top. Go on.
You see, I was thinking something like, this is the Loaded Dice podcast where the dice are loaded, not the guests.
See, I like that because it's short and succinct and
Quippy. It's quippy.
It's
we
quippy.
like quippy.
It's quippy. It's not unnecessarily performative. You know.
Well, excuse me.
Well,
no.
excuse me.
When you guys have as many failed podcasts as me, you tell me.
Yeah,
You know.
well, hopefully you'll finally have a successful one because we're
Yeah.
involved.
To be fair, you know, I had plans for 2 other podcasts, but they just fell through. What can I do?
Many such cases.
Like,
Yeah. Unfortunately, you did not have enough white men for the podcast to survive.
That was my problem. I only tried to make a podcast with other women. I needed white men
Yeah.
and Diesel.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, where do I fall on that spectrum?
You're basically white.
That's crazy.
You're invited to Sunday dinner. You know,
No,
That's crazy.
No,
I
he's
can't believe that.
invited to the church
white
lunch.
person cooking.
Yeah, that's the church potluck. It's
Yeah,
the white
yeah,
person cookout.
Well,
can
for the
come
next
have Sunday
intro, I'll make it more quippy. You know. All
That's
right.
good. Well, I'm just
Well,
teasing.
I didn't have we didn't have like a bit settled in, and Craig was already in here, so I just wanted to get the show on the road, you know.
You're good.
Well,
We did.
you know,
you know
yeah.
that was funny. It
was kind of you put
and
on
it's
that
meta.
same
You
voice.
know, like every
as...
podcast has to start in a meta way.
Yeah, you
No,
put on
I fucking hate that when podcasts start in a better way. That's like, oh my god, these like, oh, let me guess, you're all like 3 white guys sitting in a Brooklyn studio apartment. Ooh, I bet you're all comedians and that you perform once a month and you bomb on improv night.
You know, Diesel. Well, you gotta
That was very specific.
Out like that.
You know, I was on no, real talk. I was on another podcast recently, which I know sounds like what a podcast thing to say. It's just an Ouroboros of going on to white guy councils.
Yeah, well, look, it's just couch surfing, but you make money from it.
When I was on this other podcast, right? The guy's like, oh, I'm in I do improv classes and blah blah blah, and I get like training from people who used to do improv in Manhattan, and I need to hit him up for a text because I wanna get in on the improv action. I think it would be a lot of fun. So I want to take like improv or like acting. So
I can't wait for shorts of Diesel being forced to like do a bit and switch it every few seconds. And
I know exactly what you mean.
I know.
Our feed is the same. Yeah.
All right. So I guess today we're talking about world building.
That is what it said on the wheel
something both of you have a lot of experience with.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where do we even? You know what? How you can begin? You could start complaining, I guess.
You know, my complaints might be a little different to your complaints, Diesel, because I decided to start building two things at the same time, like a smart person.
Well,
Hmm.
that was a big problem, I would say, because one of those you're gonna get a paycheck for. The other one, well, I don't know what you're doing with the other one.
You don't know what I'm doing with the other one.
What
Worst
are
case
you doing with the
scenario,
other one?
Diesel. Maybe I sell it to you. Maybe I'm like, hey, here's a world
Yes.
ready to go. Go publish
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that would be honestly, you say that like it wouldn't happen, but it definitely could.
Oh
Maybe
no,
after we
us.
play test it, I send it your way, you know? Like
Yeah.
We write it all down and publish it. Let's
Well,
go.
it's all
I,
wrote
I'm
down in my obsidian right now.
I'm sure you've all heard of like world builder's disease. For those of you unfamiliar, it's like the thing that happens when an author or a dungeon master gets utterly obsessed with their world to the point where they're going over all the idiosyncratic details of what makes their world unique. Everything from like how the plumbing works to how like every single little facet of the universe they're creating operates. It's like
I
Brandon Sanderson by way of methamphetamines.
I am gonna add like 5 new languages in my
I
setting.
can't wait. I'm struggling to learn ASL. I can't wait to try to learn a fantasy language.
But
It's really
that's
hard. I regret my choices. I'm procrastinating it by building individual like human variants for each like country on the specific continent.
what you're really doing is procrastinating thing you need to do
The
for our
Pantheon,
book.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I
You're
really need
also
somebody to do
procrastinating
that.
the Pantheon,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
but I'm also less learned in that like subject than you. So
well,
like you
I
could do it better
you've
than me.
got like 2 strong examples to go off. So
Yeah, yeah, I mean absolutely. Okay, so for context here, everybody, Hal and I are authors on a D&D setting campaign book, and it has taught us a lot about world building, like what's important and what's not.
mhm.
I know for a lot of people, the way that they world build, maybe I hear this because I remember the dungeon dudes talking about this in a video, and oh, phew, I sneezed. Sorry about that.
Bless
I just
you.
yelled at
I
everybody's
love the
ear.
dungeon dudes.
Yeah. Cut that sneeze.
Can
Yes,
you cut some my sneeze from the beginning?
if I remember.
Okay. Please remember. You're re-listening to it right now. Go back and delete it.
But the dungeon dudes, were talking about Dungeons and Drakenheim, and I remember them on a video explaining how a lot of Dungeons and Drakenheim came about during their live play, and that a lot of it was just him being like one session ahead, making it
Mhm.
up as he goes. Obviously, with like a specific framework in his head,
Yeah.
but
I
he
do
wasn't really like consciously doing it. It just kind of like passively developed over the course of that.
yeah. I do think it would have been a lot easier to write world building if we actually finished your live play, Diesel.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Something I
Uh,
begged you
well, like
for on hands and knees.
I've been thinking about whether or not that is like a good methodology. I guess my idea with world building is different than probably other people's, because I think people who DM a lot, they kind of use world building as like a way to like satisfy themselves, and then they go and they run the game, and that's like something that they do to like share that piece of what they love with other people. So it's like a separate hobby that they partake in while they're doing the hobby of dungeon mastering. Am I wrong? Am I right?
No, that makes sense. I look. I as the person in this like podcast who does not get paid to world build. It is a sickness. It takes your mind and haunts you. Most of my world building came about because I had played a lot of D&D, and I was just like, man, I really wish I had this homebrew world instead of just making it up on the spot and just kind of kit bashing what I saw on TV that week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
Yeah.
eventually I just started like, oh, I like this from this game and that from this game, and then I piece them together into something that resembles a world, and then that world started to be better as I got, better at writing.
So if it's like you're making it as you go, when you do that, is it like when you're running the game, do you ever come into like moments where you're like, I have no idea what the fuck this answer is? Or do you just like spitball it and sometimes it doesn't make sense?
So okay. That's a so old me, absolutely. I would just make shit up, and it would also often conflict, and people would call me out on that. So me now has answers for those questions, and my players ask those questions a lot.
We do.
I have to write little treatises
Yes.
for all of my players, because if there is a bookcase on the map, they're scanning it for lore. Because I did it once, Diesel. It's awful.
It is
cursed
something we do a
myself.
lot. Yeah.
They have a favorite author in my universe.
Specifically,
God.
Ash has a favorite author.
Yeah, and so they'll look at every
the one that writes
bookcase.
yaoi in universe?
No, the one that they were yaoi with in universe.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was close.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and he's kind of just like my what's a good way to put this? He's kind of like my you know how
He's
Wizards
like
has
an
that
overarching
what's his name?
Volo?
Volo, yes. He's kind of like
Yeah.
my Volo, where he dispenses lore through the lens of an experiment, like a guy who's doing observation.
He's sort of like, he's not exactly like Volo though, because he's kind of evil.
He is evil.
Because you can't have a scientist in a D&D game and not make them evil.
I mean, you can make them good. You can have good scientists.
Diesel, you don't even have good scientists in your
I do
setting.
have a good scientist. The one that's like the book is written, there's like anecdotes about the monsters from his perspective.
You mean the one that was definitely evil?
Not the one. No, not the one that you've interacted with in the live play.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, there was another one that I've just been using for the book as like a frame of reference character.
Look, it's really easy to make a scientist who asks, when I, not should I.
No, okay, but like when we're making this book, right? The process of world building has been completely different. It's been something not average to a D&D game, and I run a lot of games for the public. Like, in many ways, I guess you could say I'm a professional DM. I am never having the moment where people are going around asking about lore like that. But I also think a lot of our tables amongst our friends are very peculiar like that. Yeah, autistic. Sorry, I was trying to be PC about it.
No, you're good.
Is this a PC podcast or isn't it? Make up your mind.
I mean, it is. We're like, I'm dark woke.
Dark woke.
Dark woke is so funny. Ew.
Oh,
I love saying dark woke. I think it's super funny.
I am the anti-hero of woke, guys. I'm woke Vegeta.
I was saying on stream
Bro's
how
the
woke,
PC principal.
woke Punisher sucks dick of the guys he kills.
That's crazy. That's wild. What a tangent. It totally blew out whatever. So I guess the thing I experience when I'm running my games is that people are hungry for more about the world, because I put them in a little self-contained part of it, and they want to know more. And I think that's an important part of world building, is that scope is really important while you're in the process of world building. Narrowing your scope to what the players are going to experience is important. So, like, back to your Drakenheim example. a lot of early Drakenheim takes place in Drakenheim, but there is an entire world outside of the city of Drakenheim that exists that is different and important and matters, but you don't need that to run Dungeons of Drakenheim.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we ran
I ran it
Hal,
with Hazel,
Hal was a DM
it was
for it.
pre-existing, like a lot of the like lore, like for the outer world and stuff. I think my newer games are so much better because I have all of that other shit. I'm able to like help the players out with the like their characters more and get them integrated. Because like obviously depending on which ending of Drakenheim you get, it's possible to go like beyond the like level and interact with the wider world. In fact, I think it's gonna be really interesting when my current group does that. And I'm really looking forward to it. So
You know,
yeah.
when I was a player in Drakenheim, though, I never felt like I needed to know what else was going on outside of Drakenheim because the setting was so interesting that I wasn't like pulled in other directions looking for like something interesting. Like everything interesting was in the city of Drakenheim. So I never felt compelled to like go out and search for it. All my questions were about everything happening there because there was just so much there. You know, like there was a huge level of
did you know they
density of
added
stuff.
vampires now?
I assume that
There's
was
vampires now.
that's like what an update.
Yeah, Drakenheim
Vampires
update
now.
dropped. There's vampires now.
They're patching my books now, dude. It's crazy.
So
Loki, I love it though. I love it. I love
Yeah.
absorbing the new lore and stuff. KJ can attest to this.
yeah, I got to experience both and in Drakenheim and outside of Drakenheim.
Yeah,
thing.
because I
You're
ran a
running
game with
concurrent
Killjoy outside of
and
Drakenheim.
yeah, going outside of Drakenheim was really cool. I got to experience
We went to Libero, I think.
yeah, I think so.
There's
I'm
a
drawing
big
a blank on the names.
floating ziggurat. That's like one of the Amethyst Academy.
Yeah, I thought it was like a diamond shape or something. It's a big
No,
floating,
it's like an upside down pyramid.
Ah, okay. So yeah, there's
And
a
you
big
have to like
megalithic
fly into it, so it's
structure in the
like
sky.
yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, and then I got to go like rub shoulders with nobility in the city. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess it's like I wasn't nothing. It's not that it wasn't like, oh, there isn't anything interesting out there. It's just that the way everything is structured in the book, it's structured in a way where it pulls the people in towards the city, then pushes them out. Which I think is a deliberate choice in writing, right? Where it's like you have this density of stuff, and it asks all these questions in the first chapter of the campaign, where you kind of start to develop questions about like what's happening here, right? And obviously, if you're like really, really interested, maybe you'll get pulled in other directions. You start asking questions about how did the people get to this place? Where did they come from? Where is it in the context of the greater world that it exists in? But there are a lot more interesting questions about like, why is Drakenheim destroyed? Why do these crystals make things into monsters? And why
I think that first question's answered pretty fucking quickly.
Like if you're there, well, I'm talking like day one, okay? I'm talking day one. You show up.
Day one, you know why?
But like all this, yes, but like every single time you're sitting down to play Drakenheim, there's a question, and then there's a follow-up question that keeps you coming back. But all of those questions are like revolving inwards towards the city and its denizens rather than in other directions. And that's because the book is written for the city to tell you about the city. And so the questions are city related.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why the new supplements are so good, because it's no longer just about the city, you know.
Yeah.
They published on D&D Beyond a one shot that leads into another game because there are these like fish people living in the sewers who worship this entity known as the Duchess, who recently freed herself from the big river that's cut across Drakenheim and headed out to Ash Bay. Now she's tormenting people up there.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's really cool. And there's a whole like campaign, well, around that too. And it's awesome.
Yeah, and so kind of like to juxtapose the Dragonheim with like two cities from Faerun, Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate.
Mm,
Drakenheim feels a lot more like Waterdeep, where everything happens in the city because the city's the important part. Whereas Baldur's Gate, everything happens around the city because Baldur's Gate is just kind of like the center of lore in Faerun.
yeah.
And
It's,
so
it's like in Descent to Avernus, you go to Baldur's Gate to go to hell, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. So yeah, Baldur's Gate's a hub rather than being a set piece. Because there are interesting things happening in Baldur's Gate, but that is kind of like this is where all the movers and shakers retire.
Hmm.
Whereas Dragonheim, everything is happening in Dragonheim because Dragonheim is one of the more traumatic things that happened in that setting. So like, there doesn't need to be anything. You can go the whole campaign of Dragonheim without needing to ask the question, well, what's outside Dragonheim?
There's a
Yeah,
lot to do in Drakenheim.
I
Yep.
guess like I'm just really like how you disseminate that information and add a scale to deliver the information to the audience, to the dungeon master, to the players it's something that I'm really like interested in as like a writer because that's like a really hard thing to do. And the larger the scale or scope of the setting, I don't there's differences with each, right? Like a
Yeah.
smaller, more dense setting probably requires a lot more intricate details about those little specifics, right? You can't just kind of like broad strokes it away. Like you can kind of broad strokes Baldur's Gate away. Like we could all like give a slapdash overview of what Baldur's Gate is like. God knows
Yeah.
I've done that tons of times. But like
Yeah.
Waterdeep has so much there that it's like I wouldn't be able to describe it. I guess it's like like Waterdeep is seedy.
Yeah.
Is that like a good overview way to describe
Um,
it, or is that like
it's
a
like the difference between
mischaracterization?
Chicago and New York during Prohibition. Chicago was everything's happening there, whereas New York, everything comes through here kind of thing.
Mm,
I think
Um,
that's a great way to
that is
describe
a
it.
good way to
yeah.
describe it. Damn.
I do think we've gone off topic a
No,
little bit
because
But wait,
there.
no,
this
I think
does
this is
relate to world building.
It
yeah, I
does, it
think this
does.
is a
But all we're
good
doing is glazing
segue.
track.
No. So I think this is a good segue into how to deliver your lore.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and
absolutely.
so like one of the methods I do is very from Softian. I give lore in chunks in these books
Hmm.
that my players found, and
Yeah.
it became an addiction for them. They want to know my world, but they
Hmm.
can't know it because they're stuck in a little continent. So
That's why I
to learn
eat their
about my world,
brains
they
about them.
eventually they wanted to know more, so they started looking for more, and now it's become a problem. But like, it's a problem for me, not for them,
Hmm.
because I have to write things, and um, as a DM, that's great. I love people. It's the investment that's the real fun part because it shows how much they're invested in my world. They want to see the living parts of it. Um, and so I think like that's a great delivery method, not necessarily a great delivery method for like a module, or a campaign setting book, but like as a DM, that is important for me to see from my players because it validates what I'm doing. It shows that hey, what I'm doing is making the players hungry for more, which means that the world building is good, juicy, and well prepared. And I think that like from Softy and Method, where you give them bits and bobs on things from things, they hear someone mention something that they're like, oh, what the hell? What the hell is this place? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Which I love. I'm something of a gamer myself, guys. Don't know if you knew that. Everyone cringed. But like, it's one of the things that I love is when you see the lore like in the world of your video games. You know, like I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring Night Rain lately. Uh, and then and there's this like when you go into a boss fight, you can see the eye of this like giant like dragon creature watching you. And eventually you fight that dragon. He's not as big as advertised, but I think he's only like an aspect of it or something. But like it's little details like that that I fucking love, and I think it's why we're all so like hungry for Killjoy's lore, you know?
Yeah, it's like that's very much like a. I mean, anybody could do the thing. Like, obviously, you got to read the book. Like, if you're reading from a book, you need to like really understand the material that you're running. If you're running from a book and not
Oh,
like running your own
absolutely.
setting,
Yeah.
like KJ has a unique advantage in that
He,
that's like it's his
yeah,
setting, so he
yeah,
can kind of pull from it, off rip.
yeah,
But if you're running like a module or campaign setting, you need to
mhm,
really know the material
yeah.
in
Like
order to be able to do that.
I know Drakenheim and Afaris like front to back at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Which, by the way, the reason I use those books as like a reference is because those are the ones that I've spent the most time like reading to
yeah.
understand how people make books like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot more familiar with the WotC books now too, but like
Yeah.
even aside from that, it's just like how you deliver that stuff is like really important, and it's different from writing a book, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I probably couldn't give what KJ said as advice in the book because I can't guarantee that everybody's gonna like pick up the book we're writing, read it all front to back, and then be able to disseminate lore that way, even if it is like optimal or the most like engaging for a group. And I think a lot of groups engage with lore kind of more passively, personally. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's like a confirmation bias.
I don't know. Even in my other group, because you know I've got different players in different groups now. They are all also hungry in the same way. I have had to write like 4-page books for some of my new players.
Yeah.
It's insane.
The book method is very effective. Where if there is
It
a book,
is.
if
It
there's
is.
a
I
book
set them loose in a
case,
library.
put
I
lore in
regret
it.
my life choices.
Yeah,
Um,
libraries are dangerous,
there's
but if
a
you do introduce one, you have to put lore in it.
yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna be like, "Why did I come here?"
Well, because for one of my parties, they are in Neverwinter right now. And obviously, there is this lovely place called the House of Knowledge. I believe it's sort of like a temple of Ogma, or however you say her name. Um, and yeah, there be books there, believe it or not. And I regret my life choices.
Exactly. You see what I have to deal with, where you're like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
they checked out like
It
9
to be
books and
fair,
I have to write
it's
them."
this one specific player who is trying to be secretly evil but is not succeeding at the secret part.
Oh, that's
Um,
wonderful. Good for him.
love that for him.
Well, and it's like, okay, so there's some there's some ways to get around and like just make the world feel alive and silly.
Yeah.
Like if someone goes to a bookcase and you can hand wave a lot of it, but you got to give them like bits. So like
Yeah.
when the first the first time they went to a library, one cat who is not who wasn't necessarily like super engaged, also was illiterate. Went to a bookcase and they picked a book up and they're like, I'm reading this one. And as a joke, I was like, okay, well, it's smut. And I I just gave it a title. The title's great. It's called Fox in the Hen House. Great title for a smut book.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so now her character, through a joke, has learned to read through the smut and a school that Hal started, which is also hilarious.
It is.
But I guess another point on world building, if your players are going to keep playing in that world and you're going to advance a timeline, you should make that a thing where it's like if someone starts a school or an orphanage, that should come up in the next campaign down the road.
Yeah.
Allow your players, if you're playing in a like perpetual world, to help you build the lore, because that helps you write in a way that is more organic than mechanically just like building Lego bricks that have like labels on them.
Yeah, I like that Lego brick analogy because that kind of feels like what making a book is like.
Yeah.
It is like you got a bunch of like, this is the religion block, this is the society block, this is the government
Exactly.
block.
I do.
And
I think
go.
it's gonna. This is an idea for like a future campaign that I've got going on. Where what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give all my players like a country, and just be like, have fun, because that's what I loved doing in Ash's campaign.
Yes, that was pretty fun.
Oh my god, it was so fun.
the-
So so one of our other DMs, we play a lot of D&D if you guys didn't realize this by now. But basically they gave us an empty like canvas. They said go colonize, and immediately my entire British heritage kicked in and I colonized the
my
fuck out of that
God.
place.
She's like, I have flags and ambition. Let's go.
I have flags, ambition, and an empire to build. Let's do this.
Yeah. And to be fair, I'm playing a dwarf in a country where there are no dwarves, which means the mountains are mine to conquer. I get to be the king under the mountain or the mayor under the hill. Really depends on whether or not what I found. And I found a lovely mountain. I did, and it's got a dragon that we have to shoo away with a broom.
Yeah.
Like it's a stray cat. It's very funny.
So I have a question, because on this listing it says calendars are a trap, world building a history. What
That was
what
a
do you
Killjoy
mean by
fan.
that?
Yes,
What does that mean?
Okay, so when you pin something down in your history with a hard date, you cannot move that. Period. End of story. Once it has a number, that date is solid. You have to move, you have to pivot around that, and that's where you get tangled up in like plot holes and fucking up your own lore. If you don't give it a date, if you give it a general like this happened in the past, like you don't need to mention numbers because no one's gonna remember them. Because it's not a textbook. You don't need the number. You just need the event and the way it affected people. So like, I have an event in my history called the Shattering, and it happened centuries ago. I don't need to say how many centuries because that's not important. There are people who are pre and post Shattering, and that's what matters. And their age kind of gives you a rough estimate of the date, but I can't. Giving it a hard day that it happened and the amount of time it took for it to fix itself gives people things to like dismantle your world building with. And that's the trap, is that you trap yourself in a box when you give things like a calendar or a hard timeline. Soft timelines help you pivot around these like big things, like big. So like if say you have a war that lasts a century, you don't need to say like from this date to this date, because again, it's not a textbook, it's not a history book. You don't need to know the exact dates, because no one's going to be like, well, I wanted to be born a day before this and survive into like the like 10 years after kind of thing. That the trap comes from you putting out too much information that thrusts people out of the narrative through a mistake you make.
Which really gets into the should this have been a book?
Well,
I want to circle back around to the calendars thing, but I think that's more of a prescient thing, because I think a lot of DMs are wannabe authors, and I think people.
Absolutely. You do it, Diesel.
Oh, I do it.
You do it. And I'm gonna pull up an example in Cyberpunk. Sometimes you just sort of tell us stuff instead of letting us like do stuff. And I'm like, I could just be reading a book right now. And Diesel's gone dead silent because I've given him very harsh criticism.
Gee, I'm given nothing but criticism. I dread waking up every Sunday to run that fucking game.
I give you good feedback too. When you do good, I say that was a really good session, Diesel. Well done. I give you your head pats.
One compliment is like not powerful enough against one insult. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
Well, no, I love your Cyberpunk games.
This is such a this is like actually such a fucking compliment sandwich. Don't even just stand down on it.
I'm not like backpedaling. I know how good you can be, especially in the Cyberpunk setting. So I hold you to the fucking standard, but I know you can do. It's that simple.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
So, okay. So, should this be a book? This is a common like pitfall of D&D period. There are people who just misunderstand that D&D is a collective storytelling device. It is a toy that everyone gets to tell the story. The DM, a lot of DMs misunderstand their role. They are the storyteller for everything but what the players are, their histories, whatnot. Mm-hmm. My approach is the player's role in the game is sacred. You do not want to step on their toes, because they're the lens from which your campaign is viewed from. If you step on their toes, they're going to disengage and lose interest, because, as people put it, should have just been a book. You want to tell a specific story, whereas they are. I guess I misspoke. The DM's job is to facilitate the storytelling of the players, is a better way to put it. They are telling their own story because that's what matters to them. They made this character. They made the background. They want to tell a story. That's why they made the character. Yeah. And that story is sacred in the relationship between the DM and the player. You want to further that, and that's where the gas comes from, where you're like, this is the sauce, this is what makes D&D fun, is like knowing that if when I sit down at that table, I get to tell the story I want with some caveats.
I am of the opinion that when you DM, I don't know, it's like it should be two things. Like both sides should really enjoy it. It's not like you're just living to serve the player in a lot of respects. And I think a lot of DMs do that and feel like they're doing it selflessly, not like having fun with their side of it either is the issue. But like, I think most of it comes down to actually having a discussion with your players before game about what this is going to be and what the standards are for the specific game in question. Because if we're gonna roast me over the open fire about the fucking Cyberpunk game, I think if anything, and this is probably why I gravitate more towards horror RPGs. I think it's more interesting when bad things happen to player characters, but I think that's like something that a lot of people can be not comfortable with, because it can get kind of rough for the player character. Like, I've been reading the rule book for Bison. I'm gonna be running a game of Bison literally tonight.
Ooh.
Um, and the whole shtick with it is like there's Bison, which is the equivalent of Fae, and your character can develop like traumas and all these issues associated with either the Bison or other humans. Um, and the whole shtick with it is that you have to save or remove the Bison, right? So it's not like Call of Cthulhu where if you peep the horror, your head explodes. In this one, you like peep the gnome that lives under the bridge and he tries to
Oh yeah, you were
suck all the
telling us
bones
about
out
this
of your
last
body.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about like solving the problems for these creatures as terms of horror, right? But the game doesn't progress unless bad things happen to your character. So if you make a character in this and then you're like, I'm not comfortable with like bad things happening to them, then like it's gonna be a bad time, right? Because I enjoy watching how the players react to bad circumstance. Just because I think that's interesting,
Yeah.
and people who sign up for that usually, they also think it's interesting, which is why they're there. Um, I think for the Cyberpunk game in particular, I should have been clearer that things weren't going to be uh, good. It should have been clear that they were going to be bad,
I
but
think you can make bad things happen to a character, but there is also a balance that needs to be struck before people get fed up. You know? Like for instance, I've run game Afaris for Cat and a bunch of other people, but the person I'm going to talk about is Cat again.
dude, we put fucking Cat on blast. This is the second episode, and this is
This
like
is the second episode.
No,
But no, I
fifth
fucking
Cat
I don't know what you
mentioned.
guys mean.
Cat. Okay, but like Cat had this character called Fane. She fucking loved Fane. I did nothing but torment that poor boy. And she loved it because I made it so there was a balance to the torment. She would die for like the seventh time that campaign in a very traumatic way. There was this one time, she got torn up by going inside a lich's phylactery, as a ghost. And she got trapped in there and she was being digested by the lich who like owned the phylactery, and the players had to pull some bullshit to
That was nice
save
of
the
you to put her
character.
fetish for vor into the game.
That's crazy.
That's not a
I can't
thing.
believe
That's
we're
not a
putting
thing. That's
Cat
not a
on
thing.
blast.
What do you mean?
However,
One of the
her
times
fetish
that
for
Thane
vor-
died, he got stepped on by a giant bare foot that was stinky.
That's not true whatsoever. You weren't even there. Like
Jesus Christ, Diesel.
this is why Diesel can't play in a forest. This is the real reason. No. But yeah, and she couldn't even show up to the next session. She was so traumatized. But
Try
also
not to
like
sound too happy.
I was so happy.
but
I love
this is
tormenting
this is a
Fane.
good this
I
is a
love
good example.
tormenting Fane.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So-
she didn't get disengaged though. She was just really sad and didn't know if that character was gonna like stay dead or not. Because like there is no instance of someone being saved from a phylactery like ever anywhere in D&D. But I let Killjoy do some shenanigans. Not the
I
point.
did
But
so
the
much
point
bullshit.
is, if every single day was just that, and I didn't give her like happy time with her lover, then like yeah, she'd probably be like, this is fucking bullshit.
To be
You
fair,
know?
you stabbed that lover to death in front of her.
I did. Not only did I stab her to death, I did it with a red wizard's blade. That motherfucker ain't coming back. However,
no.
she kept going because
Yep.
she still had friends. She still had
Even when one of those
motivations.
friends
She was
betrayed
capable
her.
of, even when one of those friends betrayed her. I know. Again, I keep it going. You've got to do like a carrot and a stick sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Or your players,
So-
they're just gonna stop caring.
My best example for, and I'm gonna use Cat because we're all using
Oh
Cat.
my god.
But no, it's a really good example. So Cat's character had been building a rapport with one of the vampires in my undead campaign. Real great. Fell in love with her like session 2, 3. Has been
Session
like
2. She was like
yeah, session 2. She got one shot. It's been nothing but goo eyes and sweet nothings. They finally are getting married, and it's great. However, the one of the vampire lords, who's like, this upstart motherfucker needs to be knocked down a peg, she interrupts the wedding with a force cage. And then they all had to watch for 10 rounds as I cast imprisonment.
Yeah.
And they pulled some shit. They almost did it. But they didn't do enough to stop her from casting it. She hard cast that shit. She just casted a spell that has a casting time of, what was it, 1 minute?
Yeah.
So 10 rounds, and she trapped her in a storybook. That moment can't exist unless I give Cat the joy of a wedding and then take that away in a way that has a light at the end of the tunnel. As Hal said, carrot and stick, but like the ups, the downs have to have ups, otherwise you're gonna hit a bedrock of
which is, I must say it, this is what Cat's problem was in the Delta Green game. This has become a problem in the Cyberpunk.
Oh my god.
Fuck me, right?
We're gonna cure,
fuck me.
We're gonna cure these.
I'm already like very. I'm not even gonna. Okay, we're not having a diesel intervention episode. Okay, it's episode fucking 2.
It's good.
All right, I could definitely complain about this. All right,
but absolutely.
Yeah,
you've
but
gotten better since,
also
like,
Delta Green. Are you fucking kidding me? But also, I'm just not even gonna address that right now. And I've been, and to be clear for the audience, I've been yesing everything for them since I got confronted. Okay, and I've been yessing everything.
I didn't
and
say
I can't
you had
even
to
begin.
yes everything.
Well, you know what? I've noticed that everybody's liking it a lot better now.
Goddamn.
So
okay.
what's that tell me?
Okay, well, unfortunately, you're establishing a Skinner box. It's going to turn out great.
What's that tell me?
Okay, so yes, back to the should this campaign?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I want to talk about the calendar thing now. I'm taking the talking stick.
Okay,
okay. That makes sense to not give specific times if you're just like kind of running your own world and it's like for you and your personal thing. The rules change when you need a book.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And also, like, so I run a lot of like setting campaigns for like other people have done as well. I find, like, as a DM running those settings, it's so much easier to do with a book, with like a timeline to like coherify the lore. That's not a word, but it's what I've decided to use, so I'm going to stand by that now. You can't stop me. Fuck you all. Yeah. So I lost my train of thought because I got distracted.
That's okay. I'll
more coherent.
Finish my thought. You're in my brain, Diesel. Fix me.
I'm definitely not. Yeah. Clearly, we've established that. But like,
what?
Not in that way.
Pretty
I
bad.
I
Pretty
don't
bad.
inhabit that space in your mind is what I'm
You
saying. I inhabit a
absolutely
different one.
inhabit that space in my
But
mind. I don't know what you mean.
uh but yeah, like when we're working on a Western
Mhm.
setting book, right? We need a calendar for events
Yeah.
because there's so many historical events that happen prior to the campaign
Yeah.
setting that without it you wouldn't understand the context for other things that exist,
Mhm.
right? So it gives a good anchoring point for like events into history that you will be pulling from in order to make things happen. And that ends up changing the standards quite a bit, right? So
Mhm.
it's like what was something I created like a faction, right, where we were just kind of like adding stuff to the book. This is the period where we were just like adding whatever the fuck,
Oh my
and
god.
we
Yeah.
added. I what did I add that required like a big like knock on effect? That
So many things. So many
yeah, a
things
lot of
did that.
things.
I think this specific one you're thinking of, it was either the Twilight Carnival or it was the Mothkin.
No, it might have been the Twilight Carnival because I specifically remember it having to refer to like factions
Yeah.
because there was two.
Oh, and there
Uh,
was that gang as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it like existed without the context of like other things, like who would go arrest these people? Who are the people that do this thing?
Mhm.
Related to like crime and punishment. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I didn't really think of that. Whoops. Let me go and add that. So that added like two extra which we call
Factions.
factions
Yeah.
to add
Also,
on top of that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And those factions require every time you add a faction, generally you need like at least a sentence on the faction leader, right?
Mhm.
Especially if they're on the
Mhm.
same continent as your player
Absolutely.
characters.
Yeah.
So you need to know who they are and what their name is.
Mhm.
And maybe like a little bit about what their fucking personality is. Okay. So you
Yeah.
need to know a little bit
That
about them.
believe it or not, when specifically for important NPCs, you know that little bit at the back of the character sheet where it's like flaws, bonds, etc. Actually, really fucking important.
Yep.
Yeah, and every time I make a faction leader, they probably need a stat block. I don't really think they need a stat block right now. I will say that for the book we're making in the future, yeah, absolutely, but I don't think for this specific one. Because this
Setting
is
book where
definitely
everyone's gonna
all right,
be
fine.
using
Then we
them.
do. Okay, absolutely
You,
we need.
I'll deal with it. Don't worry.
You'll deal with it. Okay.
You,
Have you seen
I'll
how many factions there are? There's like 8 now.
yeah, that's okay. It takes me
That's
like
okay.
Whoa, 8
10 minutes to make a stat
NPCs.
block. It's fine.
Right.
um,
But all of these things add on to extra things. So like that was like one question we just brought up from the Twilight Carnival, which is a faction in the setting, and then that begot more factions, and those factions begot characters. Those characters needed writing. The writing of those characters needs stat blocks. So it's
Hmm.
like one thing leads to 5 different things. And the Twilight Carnival only exists because of like a religious reformation that happened that is denoted on the calendar. It's, all these things need to line up and make sense together. Otherwise, the guy who's reading your book is going to go, that's wrong. I will now contact the author and tell him that
yeah.
he's a hack fraud.
Well, and yeah,
Oh
that's
my
my fear
god.
with the and that's my fear with the calendar is when
Yeah.
if I were to give like a timeline of events. So like in my world, there's a country that sends a crusade over to the undead continent every 18 years, giving it basically an entire generation time to mature, be trained, and then sent off to die. Um, in a crusade, and if I were to give a hard timeline and I don't give that timeline enough thought, um, that the issue would be I would have to do it in 18-year chunks, which I could do, but then I would there's entirely the possibility of me making a mistake, and this doesn't account for long-lived races and whatnot. It just
Yeah.
it there are issues with timelines for things like long-lived races and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily take that into account when they're making the
Dude,
calendar.
Long-lived
And-
races fucking make everything so complicated.
Yes,
I
they do.
find
That's why-
it's
You know,
unironically
and-
made so many things annoying for this book.
You guys want to
And-
know something really funny? In my setting, I've just said there are no long races. No
That's
elves,
yeah.
no dwarves,
base-
no halflings.
base.
Well, with the Wild West book, none of the races are long living specifically because it causes too many problems.
Yeah, but don't you also have like elves?
Yes, I do have elves, so I've needed
So-
Yeah, but
to
they
so-
still
address.
have dysentery
So I've needed to
eventually.
address it anyway. It doesn't matter because I wanted the setting book to slot in really easily with like Faerunian, new continent, new world, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
But
The
yeah, that
damage
begets
Tolkien
many
has done
issues.
is immeasurable.
I also
Yeah.
think I made the cold touch long lives book.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
that's all right. We've
Um,
already accounted for all the other stuff. So
Yeah, so nothing
Look,
really.
everyone
lost.
just dies of dysentery eventually. It's
Yes.
I
fine.
mean, that is also true. The
It's the Wild
the,
West.
the solution to long-lived races is you just make them all adventurers and they die.
Yep.
oh, so true. So true.
You know, that adventuring, if you do it long enough, 100% death rate. You know,
Yep.
it's just
So,
like cave
um,
diving.
Is there a thing? It's too much lore. I feel like we're brushing up against that.
No.
Yes, I think there is. And I think that it comes to like this is butting up against like the book versus the campaign thing.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
campaign needs a scope. That scope needs to be contained within the areas your characters will be allowed to go.
Mhm.
So yes, there is a thing as too much lore. If you are going to spend every session, like every session planning session, every time you plan a session, if you're spending 90% of that planning for lore that's not going to be experienced by the players, that is a problem. That is not going to do what you need it to do. Which is where I come from. This is where I think we differ. You're making the book, so you need it. You need all these branching paths to like work.
Yeah,
And
because
I
we need to
conceptualize
cover that. You know.
Yeah. So, and I conceptualize my world building as like instead of a tree with branches, I view it as like a machine with gears, and every gear needs to propel the next gear in the line. So that's why, and Hal will fucking sing these praises. When I put a gear in, it will be referenced later down the line to do a very important thing.
Yeah.
So I reference something maybe session 2 or 3.
And
It is
it
going
came
to be
up, and
relevant.
I was like,
Yeah,
whoa.
yeah, and it'll come up again in session 18 in a big way.
Yeah.
I do Chekhov's guns in my lore. It's important to me to like give people that mind explosivo where you get to be like, oh my god. And again, that's me writing for players rather than the book. I don't think you can
Yeah.
necessarily do that in a book. I mean, there are ways for DMs to do that within the scope of a book, but I don't think you necessarily can put that in a book to force people to do that.
Yeah. I think what I'm just running, so I run on Thursday, I'm running a setting book called Hecna, which is like a dark carnival, Stradian, Ravenlofty type plane. And it's really funny. They deliberately, I can tell they avoid doing the calendar thing. So everything kind of exists within like a vagary of like the last 100 years. So it's all like hand waved away, and it's like, hey, well, he's a clown, he's like a liar because the big bad is like a jester.
Yeah.
And one thing I've started doing is when the players mention something like, or they do something stupid, and I'm running this in person, so like I'll like lean over in my notebook and write notes on it. And then everybody's like, Joe's writing notes in his notebook again.
See, I love doing that, but because I'm like a virtual DM, it doesn't have the same effect. So instead, I just go, okay,
Oh,
Yeah.
and it does the
Yeah.
same thing.
And then
Diesel, you
that's
just
like a good way to reference back on things and like give players the like
Yeah,
their flowers basically is like,
yeah,
oh, it's a little world building, but also it's directly your fault this happened.
yeah, for
and
sure.
Diesel, this triggered like a thing that I do, and I just remembered it. I do a thing I call big lore, little lore. Whereas
Cardboard box.
yeah, um, the people on the ground have a different understanding of your lore than the actual lore. So when a player is delivered lore, it may not be complete or true. It might be through the perspective of the people who live there, and that's also important. But you have to have that big lore, otherwise the player is going to like view this as like a, oh, this is just a plot hole. This the DM didn't think this through kind of thing. I think that is an important delivery mechanism. Whereas like, oh, you don't necessarily understand the scope of the world, and as you level up and gain more experience in a campaign, that becomes more um available to you. Like I would say Drakenheim does this a bit. Whereas the longer you're in Drakenheim, the more you understand that there are things going on in the city that are beyond were beyond your scope at level 3, but now that you are a mover and shaker, you are getting access to the real truth of the city.
Yeah.
I like calling it big lore, little lore. That's very marketable.
Yeah.
Oh my god, get it on a t-shirt, guys. I'm already thinking merch. Let's get it on a t-shirt.
To quote in the quote Brandon like, get in the comments. No, oh my god. But yeah, so I think I don't think as like a DM, my players need to know everything about what's going on or need to even be told the truth about what's going on until it is relevant to them. And I think that again we're approaching where my my experience with this is way different than your guys's, because again you're writing a campaign setting book.
Which is really interesting to think about, like, how it changes
Yeah.
that, you know? Because aside from, like, in my, like, personal setting, I realized, yeah, I don't have to worry about, so, like, a lot of the, like, little details. Because it only needs to come up when the players want it to come up. Uh...
Well, and I think the big thing with the book is you need especially a campaign setting book over a module, you need to give them enough elbow room to write their own story within your own setting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I know we're like a ways off it. But one of the there we go, fixed that. One of the players wants to play the bastard son of one of the noble houses. With the and they've got like a brother probably who is going to be another player. And yeah, they're already sort of building that lore for me. So that's fun. Love that.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
But to circle back to when is there too much lore, to the elbow room thing, a campaign setting book that is full does not allow elbow room for players to play in. You
Well,
have not built a sandbox.
the campaign setting book is supposed to give like a frame of reference for what kind of elbow room you're gonna develop, right? Like,
yeah,
the idea is that like we create this frame to
Smooth.
play like a revolutionary or an oppressor or a cowboy, a pioneer, right? But it would be a little strange for you to come into the game and be like, I would like to play the factory worker. I mean, I guess you could.
You absolutely could.
factory
You
worker
absolutely
and
could now that
start
I think about
unions.
it.
I would just start a
Yeah.
union.
What
and that
would
could
be
my
something that would
struggle.
like defy the scope of the setting book
The
that would just make no
setting,
sense? Yeah.
you want to play a god. There are no gods in the campaign.
Oh, true. Well,
Yeah, you know.
there's no gods because we haven't written a fucking
No,
pantheon.
no. Our pantheon isn't gods.
Yes,
Our
they're
pantheon is angels, then that came from the one true God. But that's not the point.
they're like mortal demigods.
Yeah, I mean,
They're saintly.
they came from the sky. We've already had this talk.
Yes, we
what are we
have.
arguing about?
Okay, world building question. Are your
Mhm.
angels like pretty paradise lost angels, or are they biblically accurate?
So the way, because one of it's not like a pantheon one, but in like a private game I played a fallen angel who just fucking loves humanity. And basically she like has a human form, but like when she uses her angelic abilities, you can see a little more the like fucked upness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um so you can see how she's like got these like biblically accurate like decaying wings with like all these different eyes and shit on it, and it's really, not to toot my own horn, but it's really cool.
Well, the reason I ask is because like it's important to understand the
Yeah.
like theme of your world.
Yeah, well,
building.
they're like angels by way of tortured Statue of Liberty, if that makes sense.
Not really.
Diesel, I think you've forgotten about the conversation we had.
Yes, I know what conversation we had. This clearly is turning into a Let's All Bully Diesel episode.
No,
This is
it
absolutely not.
absolutely
I'm now
not. This is a
confused
let's
on the
all-
on. I'm now
This
confused,
is
and I'm
a
writing the book.
this is a Bully Diesel episode, is what it
It's
is.
not a Bully Diesel episode. Oh my
Punish
god.
Diesel, get this man an eye patch. The reason I bring that up is because in my world I have a cosmic horror bent where like the more you like understand the world, the more frightening it becomes.
Yeah.
So I went with biblically accurate angels who like when you see them, they're just a bunch of like the lowest level is just a collection of wings that crawl around the ground like a spider. Horrifying and terrifying creatures. And then like everyone's like, ooh, the angels are here, and then everything else is like, oh my god, what are those? It was very funny to deploy those on the players because they were like, but if you're running like a high fantasy like Tolkienian thing, I don't think biblically accurate angels necessarily jive.
Yeah.
I guess is I like your world building has a tone and you should respect that tone instead of shoehorning in like X cool idea. You need to have a this goes back to the scope thing. You need your flavor. The sauce needs to have a flavor. You need to spice it with the correct things, otherwise you're going to end up with you know bad juju in your campaign. Do
well,
we have final thoughts or
me have final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Diesel, no, you're fine. I love you.
Oh my god. Final thoughts. I'm a man denied his tendies. Punished
Oh my
Diesel.
Punish Diesel.
Dude,
No!
Alexa, play Invisible by Duran Duran.
No. See, now I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad. He's milking it.
I know he's milking it. I can
slick.
still feel bad. Okay.
Would never say how I really feel. Everything's a bit. There's 10 layers of irony between me and my feelings.
Wow.
Oh, this poor sweet summer child.
That's crazy.
I mean, I feel like we didn't even answer the question of fucking world
well,
building. I feel like we
maybe
didn't give
we should-
actionable tips.
Maybe we
Well,
should go back
okay.
and
Well, let's
redo
do
the
the
episode.
final thoughts.
I mean, you go first, Hal. You go first.
No, you go first.
Oh my god, do not do this. Go first.
All right, I'll go first.
I
then.
insist.
Go first, KJ.
Yeah, if you're world building, you need to make sure you have a scope and a tone. You need to understand what you're building 1st. Build a foundation, then you can build into these like broader concepts.
Yeah.
And what we outlined a lot today was pitfalls that matter to like a DM versus a campaign setting bookmaker. Most people are probably going to be able to use this for their DMing or their book writing, but then like the campaign book setting thing is more like a niche. You guys have your own use case for that. I think what makes you feel good in the like what makes you enjoy your world is going to be the most important part. Like that is the whole point, is that this makes the happy juice flow, so continue to do that. Is like, but if you're playing D&D with people, make sure that you respect that they are a part of that and include them in some ways in that world building.
I think that's pretty good summary.
I think I think what you said about including the players is really important. I think one of the good things that I've seen from Daggerheart do is like try and incorporate players' decisions into a session 0 world building.
Yeah.
Because without going on too much of a tangent about Daggerheart, one of the things that they do is you pick a campaign frame and then you fill that frame with information that both the DM and players decide. And the stuff that the players decide might be kind of small, like they're not going to like demonstrably change the world, but they'll have an impact and say on the factions or the like religion or the people that live there or the town or the sigils. And all of that stuff kind of like adds up to giving them this inherent incentive to pay attention and look out for the things that they were discussing in session 0, which makes them more engaged by way of making the world building a collaborative process that you do at the beginning with your players. And I think that's like a really good thing to do. And honestly, just literally just transplant that into D&D. Like it's such a good idea. Like I'm definitely going to use it.
Yeah. I think you can definitely like steal stuff from other, like just because you're playing D&D 5th edition doesn't mean you can't incorporate stuff from older editions or from like Call of Cthulhu or something, Yeah.
And one of the things I've been considering is individual session 0s and a broad session 0 where players get to experience the people that are important in their backstory firsthand, and then go on to do the session 0 with the group where they get to experience each other after experiencing those people, so that they're all these things are fresh in their mind.
Oh fuck, we've got to do our session 0 today, right, Killjoy?
Is that today?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Okay.
It was today or tomorrow.
I will make that happen.
If it's not a good time, I did actually promise Mimi that I'd grind drink with her. So
okay, well,
later?
I will write that. We're we're in the middle of the podcast.
You're planning your next
we are in the middle.
in this session
in the podcast
of the podcast.
That's crazy. Look, it's a game. She's very excited.
I'm so excited. Killjoy, Diesel, you know how I love the Fae. It's my favorite thing, okay?
To be clear, at minimum, 2/3 of this podcast has either undiagnosed or diagnosed ADHD.
Crippling even.
I'm sorry, Diesel.
Crippling even.
I'm sorry.
Dude, I without like just diverting too much, dude, the doctor today, I was like, I can't get a psychiatrist. Please give me medication. And she was like, well, it's a controlled substance. I'm going to give you an EKG and then you got to go find a doctor. I'm like, I've asked so many. Nobody will take my insurance. I need Adderall.
Yeah, they fucking
Stop
hate
stealing
getting
it,
that
all you
shit.
fucking people. It doesn't make you fucking work faster. I need it. I can't focus.
Everyone on Adderall that just has ADHD and they're just mellowed out and they're like, this isn't really working for me. Or they're just like, it's like cheaper cocaine.
It is like cheap. Diesel, just go
Cut
do
that.
Cocaine. It'll fix your problem.
I know that it would technically work if I did that, guys. That's the worst part. It would be. I'm at the point where it's easier to go find a drug dealer than to find a doctor.
Yeah, welcome to America. Why do you think so many people get clapped for illegal Adderall? They just have ADHD and no insurance.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Hal, is there anything else to mention about world building?
He says with the pain of 1,000 men. Yeah. So I think it's good, like Killjoy said, to set a base. Go sort of from there. I'm gonna make this one specific for like non-book writing, I guess. Where I've got my continent. I'm gonna write the lore of different countries in that continent, the noble houses, and maybe a couple like key NPCs, but that's like it, you know? And then from there, you can kind of just make it up. The death, and not like the death, but something that really can kill your campaign or your creativity is over prepping. Everyone's guilty of it. I used to do it a lot, and now I like prep like 2 days before. Don't leave it till last minute, guys. That also doesn't work. But like, I lost my train of thought. I think I also need Adderall.
You were talking about how you were building a continent.
No, I wasn't. I was past that, and I know it.
What is going on today? What is going on today?
Because I've had caffeine, so now I can't focus whatsoever. Fuck.
Everybody sit here in silence while she figures it out.
No, don't do that.
Fill the dead air so she doesn't get a panic.
Okay, continent. Don't over prep. It kills the vibe. Yes, it kills the vibe. Not only like because your players are gonna sort of feel. Maybe they won't. Maybe you'll do it okay, but you'll be more inclined to railroad your players to what they prepped, which is actually the death of like player engagement in campaign. We'll talk about that later. But like also, it's gonna be harder for you because it leaves no room for you to be prepared for improv. You know, and that's like mostly what D&D is. It's improv, with math rocks.
The clicky clacks.
The clicky clacks. I love my clicky clacks. I've been playing a lot of Farkle lately. No, fuck. Anyway,
God damn, Al, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
We're all cripplingly mentally ill. Never mind.
We're all cripplingly mentally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'd like to support the channel, make sure to subscribe.
No,
I've given my closing thoughts already. We've just been taking so long.
No.
Well, if you like this, you can find us everywhere podcasts are put. Okay, on the Loaded Dice YouTube channel. And fuck, I forgot my train of thought now. What the hell is going on?
There's a gas leak. There's a gas leak in the PC.
There's a gas leak in the
You also had a energy drink. It's the caffeine, guys. It's the caffeine.
They're putting caffeine.
I haven't eaten today. I got my blood work done.
Yeah, I've also not.
Yeah, you could follow us everywhere. You can find KJ over on
Adventures in
Adventures.
Omdalir. I'm
Yeah.
also in the Cantrip Collective. We're producing
Yes.
we produce modules for one shots.
Yes, he is one of the designers over at MPT. At some point, that'll just be like a whole like magazine of adventures, but
It's a-
right now it's like Patreon only, which you probably heard the ad for at the middle of this if you are not a patron. And where can people find you, Hal?
You can't. I'm very elusive.
You don't do this every
How,
week.
however,
Just take your fucking flowers, please.
however, I am on Killjoy's Adventures of Armadillo thing. I That's pretty much it. And I'm also just very cool in PogChamp. That's it.
Oh boy. All right. Hal is also one of the writers for Mana Potion
Oh
Tabletop,
yeah,
as
that's
well
it.
as the co-author of Cryptids of the Untamed West, our campaign setting book coming out this summer to a Kickstarter near you. You can find her work over on Mana Potion Tabletop on YouTube, online, and wherever you get your RPG content. See you here next week.